Welcome back. You're listening to the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. Today we're talking about what kids say they really want from their parents. And before we went on the break, we were talking about some of these Tinglish, I have to say it because I think it's such a cute word, but Tinglish words, which are teen English words that my dad has translated from what they're saying in the training rooms and in his coaching sessions with them into what parents can understand or what parents can fully wrap their minds around. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with that.
Yeah, before we do that, let me just tee up some people in case they just joined us. If you just joined us, you're listening to the Inspirational Parent. My name is Alex Urbina. I'm a transformational life coach. And for the last 20 years, I've been facilitating powerful teen leadership trainings for kids all across the country, different parts of the world. But I'm a parenting expert, and I just finished writing the book, The Inspirational Parent. And in that book, there's a powerful little section there where I talk about some of the Tinglish, like you said, of words and comments and feedback and insight that teens are feeling confident enough and vulnerable enough to share with us in the training room that I felt was important to be able to put into a book so that other people know what kids are struggling with and what they desperately want and need from their parents. They just don't necessarily know how to say it. So that's kind of, what this topic about and what we're talking about today.
Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and go on with the next one. It says, I want my parents to create a safe, loving, and peaceful environment for me so I can be open and honest without them overreacting or jumping to conclusions. Like I said 100 times, they're not going to say this to you.
That's right.
This is why this to me is so important. And I'm going to keep stressing that this is a really powerful statement for any kid to make, even an adult. There's no one's going to straight up say, hey, I want you to create a loving space so that I can release myself and just be me. Nobody's going to say that.
And the reason why I came up with that as Tinglish for the teens, and being that advocate to share that message is because a lot of times when kids say that they can't share like this at home, a lot of times in the training room I'll ask why. And they will say, because I don't feel this safe like I am here, like I'm at home. And so I hear dozens and dozens and dozens of different versions of kids saying that to me. So after hearing that over and over again, and I ask them more questions, the more questions I ask, the more I get clear that what they're really needing and wanting from you is that same space that I create in the training room that lets them feel like it's okay to share candidly and open and honestly like that. So that's how I came up with that, is through just all the years of kids basically saying to me, Alex, I would love to be able to have this kind of experience to share myself like this with my mom and dad. How come I can't? And then now the questions come back to me wanting to know why they can't share like this with their mom and dad. And that's heartbreaking because I want to teach parents how to create this contextual shift in their living rooms, in their kitchen, at their kitchen tables, such that their kids feel safe enough to be able to share as powerfully as they did with me and all the other, kids and mentors in their training rooms.
Well, one of the things I was thinking of that I imagine a lot of people could probably identify with, even, if you have to look back to when you were a kid, is when you're a kid and you want something from your parents and you and your siblings, you and your sister or your brother are like, no, you ask mom. You're kind of going back and forth because nobody wants to ask and be rejected, because when you ask for something.
So why do you think they ask? Why do you think they go back and forth? Because they're trying to figure out who's got the better relationship with mom or dad, such that mom or dad doesn't get mad and explode.
Right.
So it's like you and your sister going, well, you have a better relationship with dad, you ask him, or mom listens to you, you go tell her, so that they minimize the rejection and the anger and the resistance and all of that negative stuff that as parents sometimes we're unconscious. We don't realize that our kids they don't feel safe enough to communicate with us.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's also kind of like, okay, well, I'll ask, but wait till he's in a better mood or wait till after dinner, because to be honest, nobody wants to. Asking for something is vulnerable. So I can't even imagine going and asking for advice or offering up a story, from your kid. But the thing that I'm trying to stress and I feel is really important is that imagine if they had that open space all the time to just whenever they want walk up and talk to you about it, because I know that there's a lot of anxiety for kids and especially teenagers to ask for things. That was one of my things too when I was younger, and my sister, my brother, we all experienced the same thing, was having anxiety, sitting there like, okay, should I ask for this or should I tell them about this? And that anxiety alone is almost eating you up inside until you get it out. So I just wanted to point out that imagine if there was a space where they could just get that out right away. And
just hearing you share that as my daughter it's heartbreaking to me to hear that my level of unconsciousness when you guys were little was not that at a certain place where you guys needed to try to find the right time to come to dad, and that's heartbreaking to me. And it's a gut check. And a lot of times, if you ever heard my show, I always talk about some of the biggest breakthroughs have come when I get those gut checks, because those disturb me enough to say, hey, Alex, when are you going to wake up to realize that your kids need something specific from you that either you haven't worked on or you haven't evolved to that level, that grandpa stage where you come in and say,
love grandpa stage.
Daddy's home. You know, when you could be that grandpa that just comes in, you got no worries, and you know, there's no stress, and everything to you is just bubble gum and candies and handing out money to everybody. That's that wise old man that you need to learn how to be in your late 20s and your early 30s as a father, or just that calm, loving space that kids feel safe enough to come up to you and go, hey, Dad, I failed on a test today, without hearing the, what? I thought you know, and all that kind of stuff. They just need loving, caring, compassionate, vulnerable parents that don't take things personal and don't bring their junk home with them, emotional junk, and project it onto their kids. That's heartbreaking to me. And just hearing it from you, I want to just take a moment to say, if I did, obviously I did, I apologize to you for that. And I'm so glad that I'm learning, and I'm so glad that I give myself permission to teach other people, and that we can share like this so that other parents that are younger than me, that hopefully that they learn a little bit something from that, and it causes some kind of course correction.
Well, thank you. I still love you. So, but I could go on about grandpa stage forever. So I'm going to move on to the next one.
That'll be the next show, grandpa stage.
Caught on that. The next one says, I want my parents to be that centered, grounded, and optimistic person. In parentheses, it says my rock, that I can see when I'm nervous or scared. So for me, even just the words "my rock," it's just a solid person that's always going to be there for you. So I think most kids, regardless of how you react to the way that they speak to you, most of them can say that their parents are their rock anyways, because parents are always the ones that are going to back you up. They're always the ones that are going to be there for you, cheering you on, even if it's not in the most supportive way that your kid needs at the time, or the most effective way that your kid needs at that time. I think for the most part, that's always every single parent's intention, but your intentions hardly ever come across that way, or they could be not coming across that way. So what is it that kids need to see the rock, or to know that that's what their parents mean?
The rock to different kids and to parents mean different things. There's different levels of a rock. There's the pebble and there's the boulder. What kids want is for you to be the boulder. They want you to develop a big enough context within yourself such that when they're panicking and they're afraid and they got that they look over to you and you look at them with those eyes, like without words, the look in your eyes is like, don't worry about it, son, I got your back. Or, hey, are you kidding me? This is nothing. Like, this is simple. Like, we got this, or you're going to be okay. And all that has to be communicated in your way of being. It's, if they are nervous and afraid and they look over at you and you're just as nervous and afraid, you show up to them as the pebble. You're a rock. You're just a smaller rock. They need a boulder. They need to look up and go, wow, you're so massive. You're so stable and solid and secure. I feel safe knowing that you're standing behind me, because who you're being standing behind me says a message to me that I'm going to be okay no matter what I go through. And so that takes a lot of work as a parent to really work on all of your interpersonal stuff. You got to learn how to let your past go. You got to learn how to heal. There's a lot of stuff that you got to do interpersonally to be able to become the boulder. And to be honest with you, that's my mission. My mission is to be that boulder. I don't know if I'm there yet, but even if I was there, I would never say that I was there, because I'm always going to try to be a bigger boulder so that I can be a bigger rock for more people, whether it's my family, the community, the world. I'm always working on myself to figure out how to keep expanding that such that more people can turn to me and feel safe and know that I got their back.
Yeah, there's been times where I feel like I'm drowning. I have so much stuff going on. I have work, and I have school, and I have this and that, social life, everything. You feel just like the whole world is going to just crash down on you because there's too much. And there's been times where I'm like, Dad, Mom, whoever, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And there's been times where you'll tell me, you can do it, and I'm like, how? I'm sitting there crying. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do everything? And you're like, I don't know, but you're going to figure it out. And even though that wasn't really good advice, it was just so encouraging that I would sit there. How am I supposed to do this? Kind of felt like here I am begging you guys for advice, and you were giving me such encouragement, just saying, I don't know how you're going to do it, but I know you're going to do it. And, at the time, I probably, especially when I was younger, I saw it a lot like, okay, well, thanks.
Yeah, because you're looking for an answer.
Yeah.
This is perfect, because this is what we were talking about earlier is I might not always have the answer. In fact, I probably don't have 90% of your answers. But what I do know is that I believe in you, and I know what you're capable of more than you know what you're capable of. And I know that that's what you're looking for me to be your mirror. So my job in that moment is just to remind you how amazing you are and that you got this. Because I too have been where you're at, where I've been frustrated, and I look to my mentor, and mentor's like, are you kidding me? You out of anybody's worried about this? I would come to you if I was in a situation like that. And then there I am going, you would? You know what I mean? It's just our mentors, their job, and that's also in the book, is I talk about your mentor or you as the inspirational parent needs to learn how to speak into people's greatness. What your kids are looking for in you being their inspiration is you got to learn the art of speaking into someone's greatness. Like, I know you can. Of course you can. Are you kidding me? You're the one. And then just speak into their greatness. Because we as human beings don't do that for ourselves. We're speaking into all of our limitations. We're speaking, and our little voice is talking about all of our smallness. So we need someone other than us to mirror our greatness by them speaking into it. And so that's what being inspirational and being the rock is somebody not necessarily having the answers, is just saying, I believe in you, and of course you got this. And so I know you were frustrated because you were like, Dad, that doesn't help me. And then you go to your room, but you still felt like you were supported. You still felt like, all right, well, hey, maybe if my dad's not worried and he's not panicked about it, then maybe he knows something that I don't. And then before you know it, that's where the little seed that I planted slowly starts to sprout in your room or in your drive in the morning to your next meeting or whatever it is. That's what it's like to be the rock.
Yeah, and I even as a kid, I couldn't really see. I mean, I'm still a kid, so but even younger, I couldn't really see. I couldn't really see all of that. That whole message, I couldn't see it. I just saw, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? When you're young, you're trying to figure everything out, and it's challenging. It's hard. So it wasn't until probably this last year where I've just have been hitting these walls, like, what am I supposed to do? Especially as a young adult, when you don't know what you're doing. I'm hitting these walls. What am I supposed to do? And I felt like I was going to everybody for it. I was going to my friends. I was going to my boss. I was going, what am I supposed to do? And I just felt like I kept getting the same message back. I don't know, but you're going to figure it out. And I know that's stuff that people just say, but certain people who are more conscious and more, I guess, authentic, when they would say it. So, for example, if you said it, or my mom said it, or my boss said it, it was like, Yeah, I can. It was just, sometimes people just say it, and I felt like coming from my parents or the people who are my rock, who are supportive, it felt real. All of a sudden, it wasn't just something people say. It was something that you were specifically saying to me.
And the reason why I was saying that to you is because I've been watching you since you were born, and I've been watching your determination from the time that I wanted to tie your shoe at 3 years old. You're like, stop it, and you're arguing with me because you want to tie your own shoe. So that determination, all those little moments where I'm capturing and I'm remembering, I know you better than you know yourself. So I, more than anyone, is your biggest fan, and my job is to remind you that I seen your greatness when you've shown it. In that moment, you're doubting yourself and you're doubting your greatness, and you're not even thinking about greatness. So my job is just to remind you what I see from you and what you've shown me. And what you've shown me is that you have an amazing resilience about you. And when you decide you're going to do something, everyone better get out of your way because you do it. And so my job is just to remind you that, not to try to fix your problem or give you the right answer. And furthermore, sometimes when I tell you I don't know, but you'll figure it out, later on I might come up with some ideas. I don't know if you know this or realize this. Sometimes I'll come back the next morning or later on that night, and I'll drop some other seeds like, oh, I was thinking about what you said. Have you considered this? Or I'll ask you certain questions that won't give you the answer, but that question will lead you down the path for you to figure it out at some other point. So what I'm learning is that by not giving you the answer, I'm helping you discover the answer for yourself, where I'm not jumping in and fixing it for you, but I'm asking you the right questions so that at a certain point later on you can go, oh, I could do this. So I am supporting you. It just doesn't look like it's directly. I'm doing it more indirectly.
Yeah, I want to skip ahead to one of them because I kind of feel like it transitions into it a little bit. So we'll go back to the other ones. It says, I want my parents to believe I will arrive at my destination at my own time, not within their time frame or when they want it. So just hearing you say that kind of makes me feel like there's no end. And I know that I want to keep going. I want to just keep learning and finding new things. So all the times where I'm saying, what am I supposed to do? What am I going to do? I'm not necessarily saying, and this goes for probably all the young adults that are trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. And really what we're looking for is, what do I do next? Or what do I do now? So to parents, I think what they're hearing is, what am I supposed to do? Us freaking out, and then they want to give us advice. Well, you go to school, then you get your degree, and then you get a job in that field, and then and they try to encourage us with doing things, So, but for me, when I get advice like that, oh, you just have to finish X, Y, and Z, my brain jumps to, but okay, and then what? So, I think for me, there is no end goal, and I think that's, especially for millennials right now, that's a huge thing. There is no end goal. We just want to keep just being us and running around and doing whatever we want, especially since we're so young right now. So what do you think about parents who are kind of are doing this? They're not believing that we're going to arrive at our destination.
I think that parents want a certain end goal right away so that they feel better about their parenting, rather than realizing that our job is to not be attached to an end result. Our job is to walk our kids through the journey of life, through the process. So in your process as a young adult or a teenager or even a younger child that has been brought up in a world that needing instant gratification, you guys are constantly looking for the end result all the time. And I got to tell you something. I still haven't found the end result. The end result never comes. It's just a constant process of creation. So I'm going to teach you how to just keep creating. What do you want right now? That's it. And then tomorrow, hey, Dad, which way do I go? I don't know. What do you want right now? So it's always about focusing on what do I want right now and start creating that now. Does that mean that you're going to stay creating that and wanting that forever? No, you might change your mind. You might go through your whole college career changing your mind a dozen times. Is that okay with the average parent? Who knows? Conscious parents aren't attached to wanting it to look a certain way because they feel better about themselves as a parent. The conscious parent goes, well, if you change your mind, great. Now you're focused on this. Now I'll support you in that. And we just keep rolling with it. You should be able to create a safe space for you to keep figuring out what it is you want until you get crystal clear about it. I'd rather have a parent that walks me through that process and is unattached to it looking their way or the way it makes them feel better about themselves, and just kind of handholds me until I finally decide what that is, whether I'm 30 or 60 years old. Having a parent that's patient and walks me through that without being attached to having an end result it's a gift. It's a real treat. It's a real rare and unique gift that you can give your kids by just being with them in the process and letting them know that everything's going to be okay. Just keep focusing on what you want now and keep creating, because the world is really an open opportunity for us to keep creating what it is that we desire.
Yeah, and I want to just point out or add emphasis to what you said is that even though we do want an end result and we're like, okay, how do I get there kind of thing, when we get there, I can guarantee you, if you are one of those creative, just insane millennials, you are not going to be content with just that.
That's right.
You'll be content with doing that, but then you need something
That's
else.
right.
You need another side project. It's just part of the culture now for teens and young adults is we want more. We just keep wanting more.
That's right. And we don't stop and realize how grateful we are for the journey. Like your journey. Let's take your journey specific. I know we got to go on a break, but your journey specifically is amazing. You're on this journey of growth and got a lot of challenges coming your way. I'm excited for you. You might not be excited because you see them as, oh my God, these challenges are getting in the way of what I want to get. And so you're so focused on the end result, you're not stopping and going, you know what, I'm grateful for this journey because it's teaching me something and it's prepping me for something bigger coming around the corner. So you have to learn how to be present in the moment, experiencing your journey, and learn how to be grateful for all the challenges you're going through, because those are setting you up for something bigger in the future.
Sounds great. We'll be right back. So stay
good.
tuned for more of The Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to The Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. Today we're talking about what kids say they really want from their parents. And we're going over a couple of key points that we pulled out from my dad's book, The Inspirational Parent. And one thing I really want to stress before I jump into the next thing is that a lot of the stuff that we're saying which I realize, a lot of the stuff that we're saying in this episode, it probably sounds very repetitive. It probably, sounds pretty much like all the things that the kids are asking for are the same, which is crazy because I looked at this whole list and I thought, oh, I could talk about this the whole entire show. And then looking back at it, I realized a lot of the stuff that they're asking for is the same thing. They're all asking for their parents to be a certain way when they're sharing or when they're home or when they're interacting with them. It all comes down to how the parents are being.
You can even go underneath that a little deeper. And what I see is if you take all of those bullet points, underneath all of it, they're all asking for their parents to change. Because if their parents were already like that, that wouldn't be what the kids are asking for. So they're asking you, mom, dad, is to grow with them, to keep evolving, keep reinventing yourself, keep developing certain abilities about you such that it supports them in their own growth. A lot of times I think as parents, when we have kids, we go, oh, how hard is it to raise a kid? You feed them and, you clothe them, you take care of them, you nurture them, you love them. That's good enough. And kids are evolving year after year, generation after generation. They're becoming more advanced because the world's becoming more advanced. You had technology and information at their fingertips. And so teenagers or, children or teenagers or young adults are advanced now because the world is evolving. And if you're not evolving or growing with the kids and the world, you're kind of you guys are kind of
falling behind.
You're going in a different direction, and then that's where the struggle comes in.
Yeah, and I want to go over just one more, just because I really like this one. It says, "I want my parents to control their emotions and encourage me while pointing things out that I need to change or correct." So I like this one because I think when somebody's telling you to change or correct something, it's not, you don't hear it. It's kind of like when people say you should and I just ignore the rest of it. Right. Nobody no, not very many people are that receptive to feedback. Like, hey, you need to change this. You need to do this or that. So
yeah, because we get reactive and go, what do you mean I need it? And then we start to get defensive and
right. And it's funny because it says I want my parents to control their emotions and encourage me while pointing things out that I need to change. So they're not saying I don't want you to not tell me what to change.
Right.
They're okay with that. That's what I was trying to stress in the beginning was we want your advice, but your presentation, your delivery is not satisfying. It's not
it doesn't work
encouraging.
For me. It doesn't work for me is what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think this is probably my favorite one just because it's saying I want you to control your emotions when you're doing in this process, which is really, really amazing. So
or be neutral. As a parent, learn the art of being neutral. So when your kid comes to you with something, don't let it emotionally tag you, hook you, and just go and start, learning how to speak in neutrality.
I hear the outro music, so I'm assuming that our time is up. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you missed any of the show or you want to hear it again, please find our podcast online at hometownstation.com. We're here every Friday from 12 to 1 right here in your hometown station, KHTS.